Please welcome our Mayor, Buddy Dyer.
Good afternoon. I'm Mayor Buddy Dyer, and I'd like to welcome you to the October 17, 2011 City Council meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation offered today by Reverend Raleigh Murray Jr., Senior Pastor of Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, located at 654 West Anderson Street. Bethel is a leading church in the historically African-American Paramore community and is currently celebrating 100 years of service. Reverend Murray has not been there for all 100. He's been there for 27, and I frequently worship and fellowship in his church, and it has the most beautiful ceiling of any church in our community, I think. So after the invocation, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by District 4 Commissioner Patty Sheehan. Would everyone please stand?
Would you please join me in prayer? Eternal God, our Father, the Father of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, how grateful we are to you for all of your loving kindnesses and all of your tender mercies. We ask you today for forgiveness for all of our sins and your continued mercy upon us. We ask now your grace, your greatness, and your goodness upon our city officials, upon our mayor, upon all of those who serves us in this great community. We ask, Lord, your power, your presence, your perspective, your prerogatives on all that is done and said here today. We pray your guidance and your giftedness upon all those who are part of the constituency of this great city of Orlando. We thank you most of all for all that you've done, for all that you're going to do, for your death, burial, and resurrection. And dear Lord, we'll be ever so careful to ask you that all that we do and all that we say here today be pleasing in your sight. In the mighty, majestic, powerful name of our Christ, we ask it all, and for his sake, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Diamond?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Here.
Commissioner Lynham?
Here.
Commissioner Ings?
Here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Consideration of minutes from the October 3rd, 2011 workshop agenda review and city council meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ings, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Let's see. Alana, did we add a presentation other than the airport?
No.
Okay. This morning, Chairman Calvett gave a presentation of, a really good overview of the state of the airport, and we had good conversation about where we're headed and where we've been and the great vision that has occurred out at the airport and great planning. And just last week, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the airport, and in honor of that celebration, I have proclaimed the entire month of October as Orlando International Airport Month in the city of Orlando, and I would like to read just a little bit from the proclamation. Whereas Orlando International Airport celebrates its 30th anniversary in 2011, commemorating 30 years of providing a world-class travel experience And whereas the code MCO stands for the airport's former name, McCoy Air Force Base, a strategic air command installation named for Colonel Michael Norman Wright McCoy. And whereas in the early 60s, with the advent of commercial jet airline service to the Orlando area, the air installation became a joint civil military facility. And whereas the journey towards becoming a premier travel gateway began with the completion of a new $300 million terminal facility in 1981, and whereas to celebrate this historic milestone and share the occasion with the community, it is proud to serve Orlando International Airport hosted a community day on Sunday, October 2nd from 2 to 5. Now, therefore, I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim the month of October 2011 as Orlando International Airport Month in the City of Orlando in recognition of the 30th anniversary celebration. Caesar, would you like to do a picture, please? Everybody would silence their cell phones. Mine went off during the workshop, so that was a little embarrassing. So, yeah, I was trying to pretend it was Commissioner Stewart's.
I know. I was the only one laughing. You looked straight face, and I'm sitting here laughing.
Okay, let's do the mayor's update. As you'll note that a little city is being constructed in the Rotunda as part of the school's summer activity for gifted students. 25 children were tasked with creating a revitalization plan for Paramore. So they, for 2 weeks, had a fairly innovative program with professional planners and government officials, including some of our city staff, who engaged and encouraged the children to be change agents for their community. So the children ages 8 to 11 developed an elaborate scale model to represent their concept of the community, and they called it, appropriately enough, Box City, and it will be on display in the Rotunda starting this afternoon through Friday, October the 21st. So I would encourage you to stop by and take a look. It's pretty cool. Last week I was joined by Congresswoman Brown, Commissioner Ings, Commissioner Lynham, Commissioner Sheehan, Commissioner Diamond to commemorate the grand opening of President Barack Obama Parkway. And we did a ceremonial first drive on the road, and I want to thank Commissioner Ings for his leadership on the project, and appropriately enough, the president just happened to be in town on that same day, so we were able to let him know of the honor. And Commissioner Ings, I did give him a street sign with his name on it, so he was quite pleased with that.
Thank you, Mayor.
A week from today, on Monday, October the 24th, I will deliver the State of the Downtown address at the Amway Center. The proceedings will begin at 11:15, and that also serves as a fundraiser for the Downtown Orlando Partnership, or DOP, and it is a way of celebrating their 50th anniversary. So it's also fitting that we'll be looking back on the one-year anniversary of the opening of the Amway Center, and this year's theme is all about love, and we are going to kick off a new grassroots community effort entitled Why I Love Orlando. So you can find out more about that on the downtownorlandopartnership.com. This past Saturday, let's see, where are you, Rebecca? Out there in the pink. This past Saturday, I joined Rebecca, who is a breast cancer survivor, and a number of City of Orlando employees to race in the 2011 Orlando International Dragon Boat Festival, and that raised more than $55,000 for the fight against breast cancer and benefits MD Anderson. And the city, I'm very proud of this, and the whole city team raised $30,000 of the $55,000, $3,000 coming directly from employee fundraising efforts like bake sales and things of that nature. And I want to congratulate the City of Orlando Magic Dragons 2 for winning for the second year in a row the Division D championship. So we have our little gold medals, and there's that award. And I was on that team. And then even better, the City of Orlando SWAT team, who paddled with children, or I guess I should call them not children, but teenagers from the neighborhood, won the Public Service Cup, and by 1/14th of a second finished second in the open division, which was the division of the best boats in the whole festival. So by a 14th of a second, they would have won the entire Dragon Boat Festival. So we're very proud of them. And I also want to remind everybody that Saturday, October 29th at Lake Eola Park is the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. And registration opens at 6:30 a.m. and the walk begins at 8 o'clock. And if you want to register online, go to Orlando Strides, orlandostrides.com. What else do we want to discuss? The NBA lockout. Last week, I organized a group of NBA city mayors to originate and sign a letter to NBA Commissioner David Stern and Billy Hunter with the Players Association, encouraging them to resolve the lockout and noting that we were not taking side. We weren't supporting either the players or the owners in their position, but we pointed out that the people that are actually being hurt by this is the communities that have invested in these facilities and the small businesses that surround the facilities and the people that work the games and are hourly workers and aren't going to be earning a paycheck if the NBA doesn't play. So hopefully that'll weigh on their hearts a little bit. And speaking of the Amway Center, the tower has been under wraps for the last month, getting some repaired due to some premature corrosion, and we have applied a new coating for that, and that will be opened up. And is it going to be on tonight, Alan? Okay. Actually, I will pronounce that the tower will be lit up tonight. Right, Alan? Okay. So hopefully that will be pink this evening. And a couple of things on the agenda. Today we're accepting a $64,000 Secure Our Schools grant from the United States Department of Justice, and through that grant we'll work in conjunction with Orange County Public Schools to improve security access systems in 5 schools within the city of Orlando. So at Blankner and Odyssey we'll install enhanced perimeter door locks to ensure that they can be locked immediately in case of emergency, and then camera systems in Ventura, Lake Como, and Shingle Creek Elementary School. So I want to thank our city staff for continuing to make safety in our community and in our schools a priority. And lastly, a really good news item. After a great NHL preseason game, reminded everybody of how enthusiastic people are about hockey. I almost said soccer because that was on my mind too, about hockey in the city of Orlando. I'm pleased to announce that we are working on a contract with Orlando Pro Hockey Operations to bring hockey back to Orlando and have our own hometown team again. The new franchise will play within the ECHL, a premier AA development league for the NHL, which is celebrating happenstance its 25th anniversary this next season, and the team name has not been decided on yet, but we will have 36 home games in the 2012-2013 season, and that's what we want to do at the Amway Center, is continue to add more event nights and bring people downtown to use the businesses. And I want to recognize the ownership, Joe Haliski and Bob Orablo. Why don't you guys stand up and let us welcome you to Orlando. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and the consent agenda is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of the council, and we give each of our council members opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda and also update you on items of importance from their individual districts. We take turns on who goes first, and today it is Commissioner Sheehan's turn.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And it's a light agenda today, so hopefully we can be brief. On item B3 on the Cypress Creek Trail, even though this area is going to be districted out of my district probably today as we vote, I would like to say that the trailhead, we had made a decision that we're going to name that after Kyle Koob, who was a planner that died. And I think that needs to continue because Kyle really worked hard on that development, and that would be a really special honor for Kyle, and I think we need to continue that. On item C1, Lake Druid Park is moving forward with the dog park, the community garden, and the playground. This codifies this today. Commissioners, thank you for your support. On item D1 is the Lake Eola Farmers Market agreement, and that's been doing really, really well at Lake Eola Park, and I think we need to continue that as well. And H3, Save Our Schools grant for the Lake Como Elementary School camera. I think that's really great as well. And on item G3, the Orlando Pro Hockey Team. Thank you, guys. We also have the soccer team, Mayor, and they're actually going to be redoing their logo. So I think if our sports team want to use something like the Lake Eola Fountain, or they want to become the Fighting Swans, who knows? We should allow them to use, to allow them to use our logos and things like that, and to help promote Orlando. So as we're working on, those logo uses and things like that, I think it'd be appropriate to allow our sports teams to do that if they so choose. We certainly would like the plug. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 5. Commissioner Lynham.
Thank you. Just a few announcements, and two of them engage the agenda. Tonight, there's an update at Callahan Neighborhood Center regarding the Creative Village, and our update involves the demolition. And on October 25th, we will have a meeting with the MWBEs, selected MWBEs that could be working there with Gennaro. And of course, the last week or so, I met with Palmer Feed Store, and it's on the agenda on the C2, hopefully, and the Church Street Improvement engineers to see what unique entryway to Paramore that we can maybe build in. And I had Walter come into part of that meeting, something we can do unique at that location, particularly since we're looking at the opportunity for a facade grant. And of course, on F1, always with the Hope Church, I've been working with Bishop Wiggins for 13 years, well, longer. It was his father first. And with this project, any project that uplifts the community and creates affordable housing and changes aesthetics for the community and in the environment, I absolutely do approve. So the last announcement is, I think today, at this part of this week, is the ITS conference here. It's an important conference. I know Charles Remdad is there, and I think I'm going to join them one night this week, and probably a lot more people in Public Works. We're hosting it in Orlando, but to have our people engaged in it is a great opportunity for us. So I think that's it for now. Thank you.
We'll move on to District 6. Commissioner Ings.
Thanks, Mayor. Item C1, I just want to say thanks to our Municipal Planning Board in this effort for the Bruton Commerce Center, the rezoning, which will be at Columbia and Bruton Street, and also the Festival Village Senior Living Facility on International Drive. And for item F1, I do really support this effort for the home deferred loan to the villages of Orlando to construct a new multifamily rental development called Hope Haven Apartments. This is going to be a great venture, and congratulations to Bishop Wiggins and the Hope Church and their efforts. And also thank you to Leila Allen too for assisting us with this, and the Housing Review Committee for your efforts as well. I'd also like to say thanks to Firehouse Subs for your Public Safety Foundation grant that will put AED units in the assistant squad leader cars there within the police department, helping to save lives. And also in H3, thank you to the United States Department of Justice Community-Oriented Policing Services, the COPS program for Secure Our Schools, And this is a great event for us to be able to protect our children and our school officials and teachers and staff at our public schools. And then I'd like to say congratulations, too, to the Orlando International Airport for their 30th anniversary. The business community breakfast was a great success. I enjoyed myself very much, and this was held this past Tuesday, October 3rd, at the Orlando International Airport. Then also congratulations to District Chief Dean Hezadine Smith on your success of the Unity in Uniform Second Alarm Fashion Show that took place on October the 9th at the Sheraton Hotel, downtown Orlando, across from the Bob Carr. And many of the proceeds goes towards breast cancer with the Susan G. Coleman benefit. It was a great program. Chief, you would, next time you need to be there and, you know, yeah, come out in a uniform or something fashion. I know everybody would love to see you there, but it was a great event. It was packed, the house was packed, and lots of support there, and they also had some breast cancer survivors there to also walk down the runway too, so it was a great event. And then, of course, the ribbon cutting for the President Barack Obama Parkway on Tuesday, October the 11th, a great event. Thanks to many of the community people for being there, and also for the mayor and my fellow commissioners. Thanks for your support in that effort too. It was obviously a beautiful roadway, and we're looking forward to phase 2 and 3 to move forward and to move the project along. Coming up November the 9th at 5:30 to 7 o'clock. I'm asking that you save the date, the Orlando Neighborhood Improvement Corporation ONIC Prodigy Cultural Arts Showcase, and the theme is Moving Through the Decades. I'm sponsoring this event along with ONIC, and it's going to be held here at the Orlando City Hall at the Rotunda. So please come out and see the artwork of our children, and many of these children come out of Boca Club apartments and throughout. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 1. Commissioner Diamond.
Well, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I would like to add my congratulations to the airport for its 30th anniversary. For those of you who are interested, I think it was said before, there was a very good presentation about the current state of the airport that was at our workshop this morning, and there should be a link to it on the city website for those of you who are interested. I think it was a very good presentation. Just a couple of recent events I wanted to highlight. I wanted to congratulate the folks at MD Anderson for another successful breast cancer awareness event and walk about a week ago or so. I wanted to congratulate Frontline Outreach on another successful Frontline Outreach fundraising luncheon. And I also wanted to congratulate the YMCA. They're working on a community advocacy committee, and congratulate them on that. And also the American Cancer Society on its efforts to start a Relay for Life program in the Conway area. If anybody would like to be involved with that but hasn't been contacted, please let me know. We'll be glad to get you involved. A couple of items on the agenda I'd like to comment on. First of all, item A4, that would be the call for an election to be held on the same day as the other city elections to fill the seat that I'll be vacating come May 31st. That is necessary because of the Florida Resign to Run law, which requires me to run since I'm a candidate for mayor. I chose to file the resignation right now, so we wouldn't need to have a special election at extra cost or expense to the city. And if anybody has any questions about the rules to run for District 1 Commissioner, just let me know. I'd be glad to talk to you about that. And we'll also be posting something as well about redistricting and those matters. I'm going to vote no on item C5. That's an item to provide $62,000 for an entrepreneurship academy. I think this duplicates a lot of existing programs that taxpayers are already paying for. We already help pay for the Disney Entrepreneur Center. We help pay for the UCF Business Incubators, as well as the UCF Economic Development Commission Economic Gardening Program. Also concerned about the cost of this program, $400 per participant. Excuse me. And I think that this money could be better spent elsewhere. On a couple of other items on the agenda, I'd like to also thank Firehouse Subs, item H2, for the defibrillator, for the grant. And thank them for that. And I guess that's a lot of subs. Item H3, I want to, it's been mentioned before, but I'm thrilled about the security enhancements at our schools. 3 of them are schools that District 1 residents attend, which is Blankner, Odyssey, and Lake Como Elementary School. And thank everybody involved for that. And then lastly, I don't think we typically recognize sporting events, but I did want to comment on a recent sports performance by a District 1 athlete down at Lake Nona High School. Todd Israel threw for 10 touchdown passes in one game. And I was just so impressed by that, I thought I'd mention it today. And also hope that somebody up in Gainesville is listening, and they can contact him about his future. Anyway, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, we'll move to District 2. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Sounds better now. Let me start with the district. I attended the Dover Shores Elementary School Hispanic Heritage Night event on October 6th, thanks to Principal Hart and Debbie and all the teachers and parents for the hospitality given to myself and my liaison officer during that particular day. It was a great event. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Mrs. Maria Luyanda and the board of the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce on the grand opening of their new office located at 517 West Colonial. The grand opening was last Friday. My best wishes to them. This past Saturday, Officer Rosado, Anna, and I joined the Englewood community on a cleanup. I want to thank the city staff for helping us out, Jan Rayhill and their team for helping us out. It was a very successful cleanup, and I want to also thank and congratulate Lynn Hill, which is the president of the association, and residents for coming out and cleaning up the neighborhood. Yesterday, Anna, my aide, attended the 4th anniversary of the International Association of Hispanic Poets and Writers. My congratulations to the president, Palmira Ubiñas, and members of the IPE. I received from the town of Juno Beach a resolution which was very interesting. I think we should look into it to double or copy, which is urging insurance companies to provide lower premiums to residents of jurisdictions providing for automated red lights. And we have red lights here in the city of Orlando, Mayor. That's something we might be wanting to look into it, to urge the insurance company to lower their premiums. I think it would be something all our residents would benefit from. There was a study done by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, and it's pretty interesting. I could go ahead and make copies of this for those of you out in the public who want to get a copy of this. It's a pretty interesting resolution, and it states the facts about how this save lives, how the red lights do save lives. And the same token, if we can make it also more comfortable for our residents by lowering a little bit the insurance on their cars or whatnot, I think it's going to be anybody would benefit from it. I want to congratulate the Orlando Police Department on items H2 and H3. As always, top notch and always utilizing the resources we have out there. I want to congratulate the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority for the 30th anniversary. And I would like to invite all the residents of District 2 to our first Community Fall Festival this Friday. It was suspended last month because of raining and lightning, so we're going to have it on October 21st at the Jackson Middle School track field, starting at 6 p.m. until 9:30. That would be this upcoming Friday. We're going to have local vocalist, Mr. Randall Branham, singing songs from the 70s and 80s, and a Latin group playing Spanish music. Lots of games for the children. We're going to have lots of fun, so you're all invited. And I believe that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 3. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me cover a couple of things going on in the district. Last weekend we celebrated Edgewater's homecoming. Had a great parade, and they had a wonderful way to celebrate. We also had their first homecoming dance in the new school that they've had since I was a senior there 40 years ago. I'm your age, finally. Let me cover a couple of things that are going on. If you work or live near the Ivanhoe Village Commercial District, please join me tonight or tomorrow night for their annual membership meeting. It's a meeting and a mixer to take place at the Orlando Repertory Theater. It's on my website, on the calendar. If you have information, give me a call. I'll be glad to help you out with it. I want to thank the College Park Main Street. We did a cleanup this past week, and thank the city staff for helping out. Did a cleanup in anticipation of the College Park Jazz Fest this Saturday night, October 22nd. It starts at 6 o'clock. Please come on down. Tickets are available. I think they're like $5 a piece, but tickets are available. Please come and enjoy that. And if you want to get in the Halloween spirit, on the evening of October 24th, Lou Gardens will be doing their annual Ghost Stories events. Let me cover a couple of things on the agenda. I need to file 2 abstentions today. Item A3, approving 2011-2012 funding agreements and distribution of funds for the community service organizations. If you'll allow me to read this into the record. As you know, I have served for many years as the Executive Director of the Christian Service Center for Central Florida. Item A3 on today's agenda is a funding agreement for the community service organizations. One of those organizations is the Christian Service Center. Even though none of the funds go toward the actual operation of the center, only go towards program funding, I will be abstaining from voting on this item in light of any perceived conflict of interest. I've also filed the Florida Commission on Ethics Form 8B, Memorandum of Voting Conflict for this county, municipal, and other local officers with the clerk's office. In addition, let me read this statement into the record. Also, my brother Jacob is the president of and CEO of the Central Florida Partnership, of which Orlando, Inc. is a subsidiary. Item C5 on today's agenda is a funding agreement between the City of Orlando, Inc., City and Orlando, Inc., to specifically fund the Entrepreneurial Academy, a program designed to help establish local businesses with growth and innovation. Even though none of these funds go towards the actual operation of the Central Florida Partnership, I'll be abstaining from voting on this item in light of any perceived conflict of interest. I've also filed the appropriate paperwork with the clerk's office. Other items on the agenda, H1, on November 5th, we'll be having Movies in the Park over in College Park. Excited about that. Second year we've done that. It's a little fundraiser for the College Park Neighborhood Association. Item I-9 today, we'll be voting on the stormwater improvements over at Parr Street and Formosa. It is an important part. We've been working on this project, I guess, Rick, 4 or 5 years. It's about, it'll probably take a good portion of a year to get it done, as I remember correctly, but it'll be a wonderful asset once we get it completed over there. So, Rick, thank you for your leadership on this. Congratulations, Commissioner Sheehan, on the Lake Druid work. On C1. Thank you for your work on that, and thank you for letting me partner with you just a little bit on that. Item B4 today on the agenda, Commissioners, is the 4-year lease for the American Legion facility over at Trotters Park. I want to thank Lori Botts for her work on that. Mayor, thank you for your leadership as well. They've raised about $115,000 so far in the last year and a half, and they're asking us for you and I to step up and help a little bit out. So I think that we'll find some time that you and I can go and help them raise a little bit more money for the new facility. And then, of course, congratulations to the Orlando Pro Hockey Operations. Thank you, gentlemen, and Alan, thank you for your leadership on that. It's a wonderful asset to our community, but more importantly, I think it will make another amenity to the facility. Will prove the value of our wisdom from several years ago. So congratulations, thank you. Looking forward to your first game in about a year. So hurry up. Thank you very much. Okay. That's it. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so the motion carries. Without objection, we will recess the City Council meeting and we will convene the CRA meeting. And there are two items of business. The first is accepting meeting minutes of the CRA Advisory Board from August the 24th, 2011. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, Thomas, number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon to you and members of the council and this agency. Item number 2 is seeks your approval of the Minority Women Entrepreneur Business Assistance Program guidelines. You will recall that precisely, almost exactly 1 year ago, in fact, on October 18th of 2010, you approved program guidelines that provided additional benchmarks and performance measures for the MEBA program. In discussing the program in depth with all of you during that process and in subsequent observance that have been had since then and experiences we've had since then, staff has found it necessary to come back before you and actually respond to certain requests that have been made that we've paid further attention to various areas within the guidelines, many of which the guidelines were silent upon. If I may, I'd like to take you through a brief history. You're of course aware that the program is to encourage small business retention and startups in the Pyramid area by allowing up to $40,000 for deferred loans that becomes a grant if that 3-year period is met. Program started, you approved it in 2006. In 2008, the guidelines were formalized, and as I said, in October of last year, the MEBA guidelines were updated. The update that was approved by you last year looked at reduction of the MEBA Advisory Board to 7 members, limited the eligible businesses to those businesses with no more than 20 employees, added franchises for the first time as an eligible business, made a requirement of 10% investment by the applicant, modified the default requirements, defined the role of a program manager as well as a business consultant, and established the design action plans. The updates that are currently proposed include some substantive updates that we'll go through in just a minute, as well as some format changes. Most of the updates, as I said earlier, address areas where the guidelines are currently silent. And again, staff is responding to requests for further strengthening of eligibility requirements, the procedure itself, accountability, and the CRA's position in case of a default. So the updates coming before you today include composition of the MEBA Advisory Board, in an attempt to better align the skill set of the MEBA Advisory Board members. We're asking to be allowed to remove the city's real estate division manager and replace her with a staff member of the city's economic development department, most likely from the business development team. Also, a second replacement is sought with our EDOs. You may recall that in this year, for the first year, we actually tied the annual funding from the city to the economic development organizations that serve on the MEBA Advisory Board to the funding as one of the benchmarks in their funding requests. In order to achieve unanimity in that, we're adding the National Entrepreneur City Centers representative and removing a SCORE representative. SCORE is not funded by the city, and of course the NEC is. I'd like to make it very clear that SCORE has been a good member, a great member. They have done absolutely nothing wrong. We've talked to them. They fully understand what we're doing. It's just a procedural matter. And I'd also like to add that the National Entrepreneur Center has enthusiastically responded to becoming a member. The updates also include limiting market expenses to no more than 25% of the total loan, except for as supported by the Office of your Executive Director, and bringing this program into consistency with other city programs, requiring that all obligations with the city be current, that there be no state or federal tax liens, and of course notifying that falsification of application can result in rejection of the application. Staff has also determined that a reduced frequency of meetings from monthly meetings to quarterly meetings with the ability to call special meetings as necessary would serve the best interest of the program. We're asking that a time frame of 1 year be between any rejection or denial before an applicant can reapply to the program. Also, we're asking you to approve the addition of the due diligence research that we've discussed with you that is now the program manager's responsibilities. And in seeking to clarify the 10% investment that you approved last year, we would seek to have that 10% be the first in. Additionally, requirements for each MEBA agreement to include a security agreement and continuing guarantee, as we have discussed with recent applications, and benchmarks for pass-fail of a criminal background check. And of course, with failure being contingent upon a felony conviction or nolo contendere within the past 5 years, and or a felony conviction or nolo for a financial or economic crime within the last 10 years, or a felony conviction or nolo contendere for violent or heinous crimes ever. Again, all three of those would constitute a failure of the criminal background check. The updates also include allowing recipients of MEBA funding who successfully complete the program to be allowed to apply for a second and final time for MEBA assistance, and finally to limit the use of MEBA funds to one business per corporate entity per program term, which of course is 3 years. The CRA Advisory Board did recommend approval, Mr. Chairman, on September 28th meeting, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time before we...
Questions of Thomas?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thomas, further business to come before the CRA?
There is none. Thank you.
Then the CRA will stand adjourned, and we will reconvene the City Council meeting. We're on hearings, ordinances, first reading, which brings us to our redistricting ordinance. Madam Clerk, would you read the title of the ordinance?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to elections, amending Section 4-1, Chapter 2, Orlando City Charter to redesignate the boundaries of the city's 6 commission districts, amending provisions relating to redistricting to eliminate superfluous language, to provide greater clarity, and to conform to existing law, providing a schedule of implementation, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Kyle, can you give us an overview of the ordinance? And I know there are 2 filed proposed amendments.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Commissioners. Kyle Shepard, Assistant City Attorney. Before you, for your consideration today on first reading, is proposed ordinance number 2011-43. This ordinance, if adopted, would amend Section 4-1 of Chapter 2 of the City Charter to redesignate the district boundaries of each of the 6 single-member commission districts in accordance with the work of the Redistricting Advisory Board. 2 weeks ago, the Redistricting Advisory Board presented to you, and you all accepted their recommended plan of redistricting. This ordinance reflects that recommended plan of redistricting. Today, we have 2 proposed amendments, one set of amendments from Commissioner Ings and a proposed amendment from Commissioner Ortiz. And with your permission, Mayor, I will go through and show you these proposed amendments and then allow the respective commissioner to move their amendment.
Okay.
This is the redistricting plan as it was presented to you by the Redistricting Advisory Board. This is a demographic table showing you, this is a table showing the total population under the 2010 census of each of the districts. You see how District 1 had grown rapidly and become far larger than the other districts. Under the RAB's recommended plan, you see the proposed populations. And then in the right-hand column, you see the deviation from the ideal population for an overall deviation of 9.29% between the biggest and the smallest district. This is the redistricting plan presented by the RAB for District 6. This is Commissioner Ings's proposed slate of amendments as it relates to District 6. It also impacts the RAB's proposal for District 4 and District 5. Let me zoom in here and show you these. Working from east and then going west, you'll see that Holden Heights under the RAB plan was proposed to go into District number 5. It is currently, as of today, in District number 6 and under the Ings proposed amendment. it would move back into District 6. Now, you'll recall that District number 6 under the RAB proposal was on the high side of population. So if you add anything to District 6, we have to take something else out of District 6, okay, to keep it below the maximum deviation that's allowed. Moving westward now, you'll see that the Boca Club Apartments and the fire station that is there. Today it is in District number 6. Under the RAB's proposal, it was slated to go into District number 5. Under Ings's proposed amendment, it would go back into District number 6. Working westward, Lake Man Garden Apartments, it is today in District number 6. The RAB's proposal was to place it into District number 5. And under the Ings amendment, it would go back to District number 6. So it would be returning those 3 areas back to District 6 from District 5 as proposed by the RAB. Now, going westward, but going down to the south, you'll see there that there is a proposal to move 2 industrial areas from District number 4 into District number 6. That doesn't move any population. That is just an industrial area. Okay, moving back to the north along Kirkman, you'll see that there are 3 apartment blocks, Kirkman Corners, Pine Shadow Condos, and Studio Park along Kirkman Boulevard that was proposed to stay in District number 6, but under this proposal, in order to balance out the population of District number 5, Commissioner Ings will move an amendment that would propose moving that into District number 5, Commissioner Linham's district, okay? And then furthest to the west up at the north, just to the east of Hiawassee, you'll see the neighborhood of Westchester. Westchester is today in Commissioner Ings's district. The RAB had proposed leaving it there, and under this proposal, it would move into District number 5. The effect of all of this is here. You see District 5 under the 2010 districts as they were on Census Day, April 1st, 2010. You see the composition of whites, blacks, and Hispanics under the RAB plan, and then under the Ings proposed amendment. Okay, now under on District number 6, and the feature that you'll want to look at here is under the RAB proposal, the African American composition of District 6 went down to 42.66% of the total, and under the Ings proposed amendment would go back up to 46.74%. One of the benefits of this proposed amendment is that the overall total deviation goes down, not up. It goes down to 8.73. And if you less out the outlier of District 1 being intentionally left a little low, because that's where we anticipate proposed growth over the next 10 years, the actual overall deviation is just over 6%, which is not too bad.
Why don't we go ahead and deal with this amendment and then move on to the next amendment?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Ings, you want to offer your amendment?
Thank you, Mayor. As we discussed about 2 weeks ago, I worked with staff to develop a set of amendments to address some of my concerns with the redistricting advisory board recommended plan. And Commissioner Lineham and I had a sunshine meeting last week to discuss this proposal. Staff was also present. This proposed amendment enjoys the following advantages. It returns core neighborhoods of District 6 back to District 6, Holden Heights, Boca Club Apartment, Lake Man Gardens Apartments. It reduces the westward sprawl of District 4. It reduces the plan's overall maximum deviation from 9.29% to 8.73%. It increases the total percentages of African Americans in District 6 from 42.66% to 46.74%. It keeps more of the eastern side of Kirkman Road commercial corridor together within District 5. And Mayor, I'd just like to say thank you to Commissioner Lineham for your assistance in this effort too, and move approval of the amendments as depicted in the presentation.
Motion by Commissioner Ings. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Let's move on to the second amendment. Kyle.
Yes, sir, and this one is fairly straightforward and simple. Commissioner Ortiz got with staff and suggested a slight amendment to the southernmost portion of his district, District Number 2. This is as proposed by the Redistricting Advisory Board. And if you look down at the very southern portion of the district, the cutoff line was T.G. Lee Boulevard. And Commissioner Ortiz recommends pushing that all the way down to the Beachline Expressway, going over to TPC Boulevard on the east, and on the west it would be the North Frontage Road. There is no population in that area, so it does not change the demographic features of the plan.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Like Commissioner Ings, I worked with staff to develop this proposed amendment for which I seek your support. This amendment affects only District 1 and 2 and does not affect any people, only commercial areas. The purpose of this amendment is to place all of the eastern side of the Cimarron Boulevard corridor in one district and to place the northern half of the beach line and Cimarron Boulevard intersection together in one district. As you know, this corridor is the key commercial corridor within District 2, and I believe that redevelopment efforts along this corridor will be better planned in advance by keeping as much of this corridor within one district. So I move approval for the amendment as depicted in the presentation.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there discussion? Commissioner Diamond?
Thank you. I am looking at this, and I think I agree with you as far as going down to the beach line. I don't agree about jumping over Cimarron Boulevard just because I think we've tried to have compact districts. We've tried to have lines that make sense. I'm not sure I understand the logic of jumping over Cimarron. Even though I don't know that there's any population there today, I do think there are at least 1 or 2 apartment complexes planned for that little triangle on the west side of Cimarron. And I also think that we've had issues regarding the closing or potential closing. Hopefully it won't happen, but issues regarding the closing of Frontage Road, which is an important issue to the folks on the west side, the Conway area, and really anybody who takes that road over to the airport. And then you've got some transportation issues, I think, as far as Shadow Ridge. And I think it'd probably make more sense to keep that part of this crosshatch line inside of District 1.
Commissioner Ortiz?
I don't know of any residential projects coming up, and then I don't know what would be the problems with those roads. I'll be more specific because I don't quite understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, well, I think you have Frontage Road, which goes through the triangle on the west side of Cimarron, which would be brought into District 2 under this amendment. And over the years, there's been discussion about Frontage Road, McCoy Road, and how the traffic flow from the Conway area, Conway Road, and Orange Avenue flows across, flows over to 436 and to the airport.
How that affect us residentially wise?
I think it's something where you would have one commissioner representing the residents, and you'd have a separate commissioner representing the part of the road that might be closed.
But there's no plans for any residential developments there.
Yeah, well, there is actually.
Do you know of any? Because I haven't seen any.
Yeah, there's a couple right near Airport Lakes Park. There's one that I think is somewhere in the pipeline across from Airport Lakes Park, and then I think there's another one that might happen over there too.
Would that be within the boundaries of the district that
Yes.
I'm trying to encompass?
Yes.
Well, I'm not aware of that, and on the other hand, we're moving that particular area, District 1, is the one where we're expecting a huge amount of growth, so eventually District 2 will be moving even further south, so I don't think how this is going to affect in any way, shape, or form this particular small segment that we are trying to introduce. And as it stands right now, I believe our, let's see, the numbers are not going to change by this particular segment. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable or anything like that.
Kyle, did you have anything to offer?
No, as Commissioner Ortiz mentioned, there's no population in there right now. You can never tell what's going to happen in the future. I believe that what is currently slated or planned for those parcels that are included in this area are commercial or they're hotel. I believe the current plans for residential development in this area is closer to Shadow Ridge, between Shadow Ridge and North Frontage Road, So it's just to the west of this proposed area, though.
It's still going to be District 1.
Right.
Yeah. Either way, I like the notion that if there is going to be additional population, we need to add to 2 rather than 1.
That's probably, yes, sir.
And I like the idea of the district commissioner having all of 436 all the way down. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
6-1, Commissioner Diamond on the non-prevailing side. Okay, let's open it up for public testimony. I have 2 appearance cards. If anybody wants to testify today, go ahead and get a appearance request card into Alana. So I have David Rucker and then Doug Head. David, you're first up.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is David Rucker. My address is 4557 Frisco Circle in Orlando. I am the president of the Washington Shores Area Association. I have discussed and looked at this map again, and still I have a problem with it not coming up to standards, because you cannot deviate from what you already had, and I see you're down. I'm satisfied with it, but I can work with it, but I think you can do a little bit better. We looked at this area before and talked about it, but we'd like for you to really consider keeping the area. I tried to do some research back when Pappy Kennedy was here, when we had both areas to represent. That's the one thing that I really value on voting. I know how it was tough for us as a race to vote back in those times, and to lose something like this and not have enough people to vote is fine. Just give us the opportunity. If they don't vote, still you gave the opportunity to have it open for us to vote. So I do still have a problem with this. By reading the law, I didn't think you could deviate from what you already had. You either had to be equal to or greater than, but nothing less. So I'd like for you to reconsider this and look at it again. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Doug Head.
This was for Inks, District 6.
Right.
Okay.
Doug Head. And then we got James Q. Mitchell, Trini Quarez, and Luana Gelzer.
I have a number of comments. First of all, as a general matter, on the process and on the work of the committee, the RAB, and the report that you got last week, I'd just like to note that from the very beginning, one of the big concerns that I've had all along is the capacity of this council to represent new areas of the city. Over time, older residents in older neighborhoods learn the system, learn how to influence policy, and learn how to obtain and retain power. We haven't had very many commissioners from the areas which I can call the newly annexed areas of the city, ranging from Metro West to the Lake Nona area. Hopefully we'll get that in the next elections. To areas like the old Navy base, Baldwin Park, or to Rosemont. As each of these has come in, it's been very difficult for the citizens of those outlying communities to obtain access to power. And it's something that I think we really as a city need to focus on. How do we get representation from those outlying areas, and how do we ensure that it's built into the system? The RAB did an excellent job of working. However, I would say that just in reflection, they can do, and one of the really remarkable things that was good was that Chairman Rich divided the groups into subcommittees. I think the subcommittees probably could have benefited had they been rotated a little bit, but the subcommittees allowed for public input at the very basic level of really drawing maps, and that was a good thing, and I would encourage that to go into the record as one of the better things that occurred in this process in the city that did not occur in some of the other redistricting processes around the county. With regard to some of the criteria for redistricting, I don't believe that we wound up with compact districts. The end result for District 4 is far less compact than some of the proposals that were offered in the course of the process. The end result for District 5 and 6 is getting more distorted and less compact by the amendments today. The extension along Cimarron Boulevard, I believe, to be justified by business concerns. This is supposed to be about government and about representing the residents. And this idea that seems to prevail in this council, that a commissioner sort of owns territory and can only work within the boundaries of his territory, is something that I find really strange. And I see no reason to alter or to extend the District 2 lines further to the south to pick up commercial areas, and just saying, oh, well, it doesn't affect people. It does affect people, but it affects them by further accentuating the influence of business rather than voters in the processes of city government. So I regret that you did not take at least Commissioner Diamond's suggested amendment for or alteration to the amendment from District 2. I see no reason to be jumping Cimarron Boulevard, and the argument that it doesn't affect people is specious at best. But I would say that as this process is coming to a close, Orlando has had a generally good outcome. I think that over the next 10 years, as we're electing people, we're going to have to increasingly focus on how we get away from the very gerrymandered looking map that we have today, which is largely created by the facts of the residences and of the interests of members of this council. I would urge you to think about how to create a commission, an advisory commission that is more independent of your independent appointments and more able to, perhaps selected by lottery from amongst a range of citizens who apply, in order to get a really independent view of what the community wants, rather than the heavy leverage of the commissioners in the process, which I witnessed again this year, as was the case 10 years ago when I served on the board. Thank you.
James Q. Mitchell.
Is that for me? Good evening. I am James Q. Mitchell, Post Office Box 555003. There are a few items that I would like to mention. The population and race. The population of the districts, you're right on line. But when it gets to the percentages, you're offline. About 9% for District 5. For the voting age, right on line, but the percentage by race eligible to vote, District 5 is 7% low. I don't think, in my opinion, that it will last for 10 years. If you go back to the request that I had asked at the last hearing of all of the rural areas, the islands within the city of Orlando, I think if you made an aggressive effort to annex those areas, then you could fill in and make District 5 and the other areas more compact. So I would really hope that you would do that, because let's quit beating around the bush. Someday you are going to annex those areas. So you may as well make an effort now and bring those tax dollars, may not be much, but it is a lot, into the city of Orlando. You are already providing the services. Why not get the dollars? Are there any questions?
Sure. Are you going to go campaign whenever we have those
elections? I certainly will.
I
I am a retired senior citizen, and I'll be more than happy to knock on doors to annex properties, because if you had the citizens of Tanulo Park in the city of Orlando, then you could work on them a little better for progress out in that area.
You think Tangelo Park would be better off if they were in the city of Orlando?
I think so, yes.
Go talk to Rosen.
It's a big island. Well,
Well, we had this discussion. We attempted that annexation and were resisted by some of the forces on I-Drive and the sheriff at the time.
Mm-hmm. He knows.
Yep.
may I die you?
Yes.
I'm sure that you're not one to give up on any project. So I know this is easy for you. And I'm sure the city council members would back you. Let's get rid of the islands within the city of Orlando.
We do not disagree with you on that.
Absolutely.
And I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Well, I used to represent that area in my Senate district, so I'm very familiar with Tangelo Park.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Trini?
Good afternoon, Trini Quiroz, 11305 Spinning Reel Circle, Orlando. We have come a long way from the process that started hastily and way behind the county and the school board, but we managed, we understood, we learned together, and something good came out of the process. Even though not everybody's pleased in the Black community and the Hispanic community the way we wanted it, but from the dismal situation of the redistricting in 2000, we came a long way this time. I wanted to thank the commissioners for having appointed the members of the RAC. Some of them didn't even know where geographically they should go, but after the process they became pros. They did learn the community by trial and error. I wanted to resonate and also concern with Mr. Doghead that it has become very difficult for the citizens to remain complacent with the way things are. There needs to be a change. There's got to be citizens advisory committees that from the citizens of the districts that deal with the problems, and they in turn can bring it to the commissioners. We are looking for trouble if we don't do that. So the commissioners have a job cut out for them, but it is impossible for 40,000 people to be attended to on a daily basis, and there are a lot of problems. I know my community like the palm of my hand, and although I live in County District 4, you can name anything, I've been there, done that, and the people know it. So I am qualified to speak for the community that deserves to be heard and the ones that are hurting. The other thing is that there are millions of dollars allocated in the community block grant, and every time I come to these meetings, everything is for the center of the city and for the west. What about the east part of the city, District 2 and District 1? When are we getting some of these goodies duplicated over there? We need to have that addressed too. And finally, I'd like to say something about H3. It's good to have security in the schools, and we are talking about city schools, correct? We have a problem with pedophiles. We have a problem with crime near schools, and we hear this day in and day out. I suggest that some of these funding, these grant monies that the city got, be put into something like that. We used to have a newspaper called El Nuevo Dia. Every single day the paper came, 100 pictures of the pedophiles living within a block and 2 blocks of the school that were not registered were there. Since that paper left town, we don't see that anymore. And this is a serious epidemic. So who do I bring this to besides this body?
The issue of pedophiles is under state law in terms of where they can live in Canada.
But they are near our schools in the city and in the county.
If it's at schools in the county, bring it to the attention of the sheriff.
The sheriff's department, very good. I just felt that this money being granted to the city and the city giving it for security to the schools, that some of this money can be earmarked to start something with this serious problem that we have in our city. And basically, thank you very much, and that's it.
Thank you, Trini. Luana Gelser. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Ortiz.
I just want, first of all, I wanted to thank you for stepping up to the podium and saying the words you said. I just want to also inform you that ever since I was elected to District 2, we had a number of grants and CDBG's monies allocated to us. We had, when we first came in, we did a housing rehabilitation program. We rehabilitated 15 homes. After that, we had a OUC weatherization program in which we rehabilitated 359 homes. And recently, the mayor and the council were gracious enough to grant us, District 3, the NSP Program 3, $3 million. And on top of that, we had CDBG monies to rehabilitate that wall to go ahead and help our residents from Monterey to be protected from the accidents that were occurring. So we're getting our share of monies, and we continue looking into other ways to help our community. Another thing I want to go ahead and let you know, which is coming up to, is on November 16th, we're going to start a college and career readiness program with all our kids from all our schools in the area. So you're welcome to come over and see what's going on, and whenever you want, we can meet, and I'll be more than glad to bring you up to date on everything we're doing. Thank you.
Okay, now you're up, Lawana. I'm sorry.
Lawana Gelza, I reside at 7674 St. Stevenson Court, zip 32835. I was here before you 2 weeks ago because I was very concerned about the map that you presented. Unfortunately, the process did not allow me the opportunity to hear any changes until now, which is not good for the public, especially when we expressed our interest on the series of the maps that were being presented. Once again, I would like to say thanks for putting Holden Heights back into 6. That was a proposal for some of us. It's been a stepchild for quite some time. Every 10 years, it goes to a different district. It was in 5, 10 years, and it was so great to do that. However, because the process, I feel, is flawed, because the public input, we got it right. I know I did. I had the lowest deviation, one of the lowest deviations turned in because I took the politics out. I didn't look at what was going on. Yet we still are dealing with a high deviation. I'm not quite sure of the number, but you went from 9.92 down to 8. I'm not quite sure the number. I wrote down 8.82. It went so fast. But we had individuals who presented maps with a deviation like myself, 2.93, because we took out the politics, and we considered the community and the people and what they wanted. I'm so concerned about my voice and other voices are being silenced at this process right now. I don't want to do what I need to do, but I'm seeking, well, actually, I have seek counsel. It's not a threat. I know we can get it right. I know we can get it right. You have to understand that the public comes first. You're here as a public servant. You're here to serve the public. We can disagree on a lot of things, but the one thing I've always said, the community comes first. And so I'm very concerned that we're still dealing with a map with a very high deviation, which makes me look at you and go, why is it so high? And why we can't get it right? And why did some public input get it right? Because we took the politics out. I would like the opportunity again. I'm just finding out the changes that you made. How can I prepare when I'm finding out at the last minute? I'm being set up.
No,
so
this
now,
is the first
you
reading.
made the amendments just now. I was here 2 weeks ago. The amendments
You understand the process. There's 2 readings.
I understand the process.
So you got a couple
Mayor,
weeks to the next
out of
meeting.
all due respect, I understand the process. I understand it so well that he had to Friday after we met to get with the mayor, get with the attorney to come up with an amendment. I'm saying as a citizen, I'm finding out about the amendment today. That's my concern. When I expressed my concern about that map. So now I'm dealing with a new map and new data that I'm receiving right now and need to come up with a presentation on that. It puts me behind the 8 ball, and it puts the community behind the 8 ball. So what I'm saying is, we got one more reading, but what if you come up with another amendment? Do it add another time for us to come back to say anything about the amendment you made today? This is my concern, the public input. We're behind 8 ball.
Well, I don't anticipate any other amendments. Does anybody here anticipate they're going to be creating amendments for the next reading? So you got what you got.
So we got what we got. So when would this be available for the public to see?
It should be available online now. Kyle?
It's
Yes?
online now. It's online from the David.
So when online once you make the vote?
No, it's online as part of the package this morning.
I came this morning.
Kyle, you want to?
I had to leave.
All right.
I had to leave for the month. I had an emergency, but I came just to see if it was going to be, and I had an emergency. That's fine. I went online. I wasn't able to see it, but that's okay. Things happen. Maybe I wasn't looking for it, but I'm concerned about the community input that this deviation is still extremely high. When we had deviations 2.93, 5.67, we took out the politics. It didn't affect, it was clean line. It wasn't that gerrymandering, and I'm very concerned about it. It's like the businesses are running. You saw it, you was gracious to give that rally on Saturday. I attended. The 1% is ruling when the 99% are very concerned. And we are not here to threaten, we're just saying our voice counts. Our voice counts, and not the people that contribute to your campaigns. Those individuals do not come before me as a taxpayer. I have the right, and all I'm saying is now that you made changes, I got 2 more weeks to prepare for the changes that you made. You said you won't make any changes. I don't know.
Well,
I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, hold on. We went through a whole process, and we probably had more public engagement and opportunity for public engagement through our RAB committee, which was a committee of 9 citizens, and we specifically set it up so they would go out and take all public testimony and public input, and just because they happen to disagree with you doesn't make the process flawed in any way. They just don't agree with your opinion. And as to the deviation, one of the things that was specifically taken into account was the fact that District 1 is going to grow substantially more than any other district in the next decade, and it is purposefully, the major part of the deviation, more than half of it, relates to the fact that District 1, which is in the southeast side, and it is going to grow more than any other district, it was artificially lowered below to the extent that they could to accommodate, so that 6 years from now, when it's grown 100% more than any other district, it might still have a chance of being somewhere near the other districts.
Okay, Mayor, out of all due respect, when I got that question similar to Commissioner Ortiz, I let it go. Let me tell you my background. I have an economics and mathematics background. I know numbers. I know statistics. I know how to read maps. I understand it. I was participated in the public input. They did not present you any of the public input. They brought forward their map. So we did participate. I gave up a lot of Tuesday nights to do that because I was very concerned. I invited other friends to come with me. There were students here 2 weeks ago from Valencia that is in a student government class that was here to learn about the process. I'm informing people, so I understand that. But once again, I did all of that, and you still don't have any of that information before you. I asked you 2 weeks ago to look at map G1 or look at another map. If you chose not to do so, that's fine. My concern is your process do eliminate public input, because once it comes from your committee members that you select, you can say you have public input, you can go through all the flaw and all of the flip-flop and everything, but then once it comes back, you have the say. And all I'm saying is the 99% is concerned. That's it, Mayor. You can do what you need to do, but the 99% is concerned. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. Okay, anybody else want to testify on redistricting? Okay, then we'll close the public comment. Okay, fill out a card.
Yeah, I filled out a card.
Okay, do I have it, Alana?
John Pardo.
Well, just state your name and
John
residence
Pardo,
address, and then fill another one out when you're
Plaza
done,
Court.
please.
I just wanted to say, I've been, watching this on the TV and all on YouTube and all that. And basically it's like, it's all going to boil down to whatever you decide to do, that's what's going to happen. But I wanted to thank, Trini, Doug had, Dave, Rico, all these people that helped trying to get this Latin thing, letting know about the Latin community. And basically, like the young lady was saying, we're going to keep on doing something. So it may not be a big splash this time, but, you know, eventually we're going to wind up doing something. And just to let you know that, you know, the Latin community is still out there. And it's growing, it's getting bigger and things like that. And that's basically about it, just to let you know that, you know, we're all watching and trying to do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else wants to come testify? And we will close the public hearing portion of this and move to debate. Commissioner Ortiz. Or discussion, whatever you want to do.
I just want to ask, what is it that you all want? Okay, well, we have a 53% Hispanic district now, so. I understand, but what exactly? Because you have representation. We're working with the community. Sir, Mayor, can she come in?
Sure, come on up.
I want
in a free fall mood today.
I want to see you guys meeting with me and be able to sit down and talk about these things, and I don't see that. So how is it that all of a sudden this process, I see all this representation? I've been loving for you guys to come over and sit down with me and hear you guys out, but you guys are never there. I have business council, I have a neighborhood leaders council, I meet with people every month. I never see you guys. I want to meet with you guys to see how I can help you guys.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to answer. For the 21 years that I have lived in the Orange County, City of Orlando, our community has been orphaned from, the leaders have to come to the community, not the community to you. We got to change that perception. I would like to see the mayor coming to District 2, to anywhere. In the 6 districts, we have a percentage of Hispanics, and they tell us, we don't even know who the commissioner is, nobody bothers us. The reason why we came together as the Alliance for Justice, which is a whole bunch of small organizations, is to have a dialogue. You want to meet with us, we will be happy to meet with you, Mr. Diamond, the mayor, anyone, because this is something like that has been, I don't know if I'm using the proper way, reverberating like a pot that is boiling, and it came to fruition. And America across the land is expressing that. The Hispanic community has been neglected for so long. You just came on board 3 years ago.
No, but not in my district. I meet with my district members. With my district people, I meet on a monthly basis. So what else? You don't live in my district, so I don't expect you to know that.
I do know, Commissioner.
Okay, but you know that I do meet every month with my district, with my people. So what else? I want to be able to, so you guys don't have to come here and go through all this. What else can we do so we can work together? We don't need to be dividing.
To start with, start engaging those persons who will volunteer with their service and their know-how in the different boards. Just to put an announcement and fill in something in the computer, that's very non-personal. Engage the community in every one of the districts.
Hey, Trini, we are begging for Latinos to sign up for our boards. Every time I make an announcement about boards, we're underrepresented on our boards. Get some people to go apply to the MPB or the BZA or the Manello board or any type of board. We are absolutely underrepresented.
Well, you know what? We have candidates that we like to serve in that.
Well, tell them to sign up.
The airport board. We got people that want to serve.
The chair of the airport board is Latino. The chairman of the board is Latino.
And how long has this person been there as a chairman?
Since the last chairman left, so a year and a half.
A year and a half, and
He's
before
been
that?
on the board before that.
Well, meaningful boards. I will be willing to serve because you don't have to reside in the city to serve on board.
Some you do and some you don't.
Correctly, because I checked that out. So if there is a board that I can be of service.
We would welcome any of the volunteers. You don't get paid, but we would welcome any volunteers that would like to apply to be on any of our boards.
I know volunteers don't get paid, but nonetheless, you asked a question. This is the beginning of the engagement of Hispanics. We are not saying the 308,000 that reside in the county, but those who are looking at what is being lacking in our communities. So we want to kind of smoke what do they call, the peace pipe or something like that? And we're going to start anew. As we say in Puerto Riqueño, borrón y cuenta nueva. That means scrap the thing and start a new account again. So we'll be willing to engage and be part of the problem and the solution at the same time. Because
no, part of the problem, part of the solution.
Well, the problem is that we have to find out what the problem is. Okay. And then the solution is like the surgeon. You know, you found the tumor and now you want to operate. So we know where the problems are.
Meet me after council.
Very good.
We'll meet.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, is there discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, or the ordinance as amended by the two amendments, indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, so the motion carries. That brings us to, and would you fill out an appearance card, sir?
I haven't, Mayor. It wasn't clear. I thought it was here for general appearance.
Okay.
It didn't indicate. But we have it.
Okay, then that brings us, Madam Clerk, to hearings ordinances on second reading number 1.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the City of Orlando, Florida, certain real property generally located north of Careen Drive, south of Northwood Boulevard, east of East End Avenue, and west of Northwood Terrace Drive, comprised of 1 acre more or less, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as a neighborhood activity center on the city's official future land use map and provide sub-area policies, designating the property as an ACN district on the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, correction, scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have your light on.
It went off. They don't back on again.
Okay. Commissioner Stewart?
Let me just say a brief thanks to our staff. This was a particular piece of property that came up to our notification that was available in the county. I want to thank our planning staff, thank Linda especially, and Dean for the work y'all did to bring this into the city. It's going to be a wonderful asset to our cities. I just want to tell you thank you and appreciate your work.
Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the planned development zoning district designation for certain real property generally located west of North Rosalind Avenue, east of North Magnolia Avenue, south of East Washington Street, and north of Wall Street, comprised of 0.63 acres, more or less, providing amended conditions of the planned development district, directing amendment of official zoning map, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Ings. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, we have one additional item, which is a quasi-judicial hearing, and it's a recommended order. We have a recommended order from the hearing officer related to this quasi-judicial hearing. It's a historic preservation case and appeal. So, Dean, I think that would be appropriate for you to give us an overview. Are the applicants and respondents here?
I believe the appellant is here this afternoon, but not the original applicant.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm going to give you a brief overview of this quasi-judicial. This is a case that was filed under HBB 2011 number 32. It was filed as a quasi-judicial this year under 2011 number 3. And this is a request from an applicant, Kelly Wells of Stigma, which is the second floor tenant at 17 South Orange Avenue, for a certificate of appropriateness to install a handicap lift for access to the second floor of that building. The lift is proposed in the recessed entry of the ground floor tenant, which is known to many of you as the Ichiban restaurant, and the HBB approved a certificate of appropriateness with conditions. It's not the actual approval that's before you today, but the issue of standing as to whether the applicant had a right to come before the HB board. The HBB recommendation was appealed by the downstairs tenant as indicated. and asserting that the applicant does not have standing to apply to the HPB for the subject lift at the proposed location on the ground floor, as it is claimed to be leased by Ichiban. A slight timeline, April 6th of 2011, the case was heard by the HPB. It actually was deferred because the permission for approval did not come from the owner of the property, but the long-term landlord who is subleasing to these tenants. On May 4th, the case was heard by the HPB. At that point in time, letters of permission from the property owner were provided, and the HPB approved a certificate of appropriateness with conditions for the subject lift. On May 11th, the appeal was filed by Ichiban, asserting that Stigma does not have standing to apply to the HPB for a certificate of appropriateness, and on August 11th of this year, the appeal was heard by our hearing officer. This is the property location on South Orange Avenue. This is the facade, as you may all be familiar with. Staff had recommended approval of the certificate of appropriateness with conditions, with the presumption that the applicant indeed has standing to file an application to the Historic Preservation Board. The HB Board agreed with staff recommendation and finding that the applicant had standing and approved the certificate of appropriateness as described. And the hearing officer, after holding the hearing, determined that the applicant does have standing to apply and recommends denial of the appeal. The council, as you know, always has three options: to adopt the recommended order, to adopt the recommended order with changes, or direct staff to prepare a revised order. In this instance, we're recommending that staff, that you accept the hearing officer's recommendation to deny the appeal, finding that the applicant indeed has standing, and to issue the certificate of appropriateness for the requested lift.
Okay, so who is here representing either side? And you represent who? You represent Ichiban? Mm-hmm. Is anybody representing, what is it?
That'd be Stigma.
Stigma? Anybody representing Stigma? Okay, then you got 5 minutes. We'll hear from you.
My name's Jennifer. I own.
Pull the mic there.
My name's Jennifer. I own Ichiban Japanese restaurant, and this is my property. So I just don't understand how someone can apply for something that's not theirs. You know what I mean? I don't understand how that works.
I'm a little confused, Jennifer. If it is in fact, I feel where you're coming from, but if it is in fact your property, then they can't use it.
I know. Well, I know. I understand that. I know that if this gets approved, I know it's not going to go to the next step, but it's, for them being able to put this elevator so they can get their liquor license, but it's my property, so I don't understand why I have to go through all this stuff. You know what I mean? They're not even here, or nor do they show up to a lot of the meetings, but.
The hearing officer found that they have standing, but I'm confused why this is even here, because if you are in fact the property owner.
I lease Ichiban, but that space that is out there, that patio is my property.
If you have the property right,
yeah, that's my property.
That
so
alcove,
I just
then
don't
they're
get
not able to do that.
Yeah,
do they have access to that?
No. I have a gate that shuts. That. Hello, Kyle.
Okay.
It's more than what you see too.
Yeah.
Hi. Good afternoon, Mayor. Kyle Shepard, Assistant City Attorney. This one's a little unusual. We have two tenants here. We have a dispute between tenants. Our HP code, our Historic Preservation Code, allows anybody that wants to come apply for a certificate of appropriateness. We can't stop someone from applying. Stigma, the upstairs tenant, came and applied. The only question before the Historic Preservation Board was, do they meet the standards for a certificate of appropriateness under the Secretary of Interior Standards for Historic Preservation? And the answer to that from the HPB was yes. When we had the hearing, the petitioners in this case, that are not the applicant, they're the downstairs neighbors, did not dispute that they met those standards. They only disputed whether or not the other tenant upstairs should even be allowed to apply. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as you may view it, they have the right to apply under our code. That does not mean that the upstairs tenant will ever be able to build anything, because they're proposing, as you hear from the petitioner, to do so on their leased premises. That is something that the city of Orlando, of course, has no power or authority over.
They would not be able to obtain a permit, so.
Exactly, right. So, and you'll notice that the applicants in this case are not even here. They have not always showed up, so we don't know if they really are serious about this or if it's just another episode between these two tenants. We don't know.
They pretty much want to kick me out of my spot, so it's been like a nightmare, like for everything. I've emailed everyone.
Right.
Daisy, Phil, I know Kyle, Richard, Thomas.
Okay, well,
Jennifer, do you
Yeah.
want to finish
Commissioner
your statement and then I'll make one? Because I think the issue here isn't just the appeal. There are
Yeah.
a lot of issues there.
There's a lot of issues that are going on, like
the
with
liquor
us
license,
and them,
the
and it's
noise
like-
upstairs, and
It's
all of those
basically
things.
like, I just feel like we've been in the community longer than anybody in downtown.
Longest sushi
And
restaurant in downtown.
We're the
for
oldest
sure.
in Orlando, if not Florida. It's going on 27 years. And like the stuff that I've had to put up with in the last year is absolutely ridiculous. And like, I don't want to like badmouth the city, but I mean, at 5 o'clock, I feel like the city leaves and they don't know what is going on Orange Avenue. I'm the last restaurant on Orange Avenue. I mean, I'm surrounded by bars and pizza. And I don't know what to do. And I mean, letting a place like this even in Orlando is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they were kicked out of the last city that they were in, and Orlando's like doing everything I feel like they can to help them, you know?
We have our eye on them, okay?
It's not, I just feel like it's just a nightmare because downtown's so slow right now, like business-wise. There's no one coming out like they used to. You know, the parking's a problem. There's so many problems. I should be up here because I have a lot to say. But it's just a lot to do, and it's like me coming to these things constantly is taking away from me running my business.
Well, as long as that's your leased premises, they can't do any of that.
It's just a lot going on, so.
Well,
I don't know. I've been emailing everybody for help, so I don't.
Jennifer, may I respond
Yeah.
to your,
Yeah.
not just the Quasar hearing, because we know that's not going to go anyplace, but the other issues, and I believe I responded to you a couple of
Yeah.
times. We've had, I think, the police department.
Yeah, we
or
did like
code
undercover
enforcement respond,
things.
and we know these people, I guess, want liquor license or something.
Yeah.
It is a bigger problem, and you are suffering there, but I know I couldn't do anything more than the police department. I think it was a noise issue. They wanted
It's just
liquor.
like I have homeless people like parking their bikes, buying needles
But,
upstairs
yeah.
constantly.
Yeah, it's
you know,
across the
like
cro- it's
and-
across Orlando,
Yeah, I mean,
pretty
but it's like, you know, she says she can sell needles. She's a tattoo shop, but I don't want that in front of my business. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
I know, but
it's
I think the
ridiculous.
issue here is a quasi-judicial hearing.
Yeah.
And we understand what is happening here. I think to accept the hearing officer's recommendation is the right thing we've got to do, but it doesn't mean it's going anyplace, understanding that that's your property.
Yeah.
So you have to
I
understand
just
there is a
didn't want
process
I
here.
just maybe thought like we
Kyle,
could change
is there any
this.
basis that we could not accept the recommended order?
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir. No.
Okay.
I didn't know if there's like a way that we could change this to any person can apply. That's so crazy. I mean, can I apply for an elevator on City Hall? Do you know what I mean? It seems like it's a waste of time for everybody, including Kyle, to be there, right?
That's a good recommendation and one that we've actually incorporated within the new historic preservation amendments that we're bringing before you. It's a flaw that dates back a couple decades in this part of the code. We were aware of it, and we're going to bring that ordinance to you here in a couple months, so you'll be able to make that change pretty soon.
Yeah, and actually, does it still read that somebody else can apply for historic
on your
designation of
property,
somebody else's
exactly,
property?
on someone else's property, that's correct, because that was one of the big contentions,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep, Commissioner Diamond?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, is does that mean that anyone can apply for that change on someone else's property, even though they don't own it or lease it? Or?
In fact, what staff does is that they make their best effort. In most of our land development code applications, it tells you with precision who may apply. It says the owner of the property may apply. And if it's not the owner, you're a tenant or something, you have to receive an affidavit from the owner saying that you may proceed with a land development application. It's not the case in this particular part of the code. It just says any person that wants to make a change to a structure within an HP overlay district has to get a certificate of appropriateness. and that's it. In practice, what staff has done is they've made an effort to find the landlord where they can, even in cases like this where it's a little bit confusing. You have a long-term landlord that holds a leasehold under a 99-year term or something, and then an underlying landlord who is absent, an owner of the building that is absentee. We still make our best effort by staff to seek those folks out and receive some permission for the application to go forward. In this case, we actually did receive that permission from the underlying owner of the property, and so that's why we allowed the application to proceed before HPB. Keep in mind, when it first went to HPB, we did not have that, and so we deferred it by a month to the next HPB, and by that time we did have correspondence from the underlying owner allowing the upstairs tenant to proceed with the certificate application.
Have you had situations before where someone who didn't own it, didn't have the approval, tried to do this?
No, sir, not that I recall. No,
Yeah,
sir.
we did.
What about with like zoning? What do the rules say on a zoning change? Could you do that on a zoning change?
The owner, when it comes to a zoning application,
You
it
have to
says
own the
very
property.
clearly that it has to be the owner of the property consenting. Now, usually it's not the actual owner. Oftentimes it's not the actual owner. It is a prospective developer, but they have an affidavit of ownership from the owner saying you may proceed with this particular application.
Does the city code say that, or is that just?
Yes, sir.
Wait, how about the other things, land use changes, conditional uses, do those all say?
Throughout
owner,
all
or
those
do they say
applications, it
in
makes it
person?
clear it has to be the owner, except for in this particular case, the certificate of appropriateness. And I think the reason for that is originally the HP code was not part of the land development code. If you look back to the 80s, it was in another part of the city code, and it got moved when we had a unified land development code adopted in 1991.
And what did you say your plans were as far as rewriting the code?
To apply for a certificate of appropriateness in the future, you'll have to have the same sort of permission that you have for any other land development application, which would be an affidavit from the actual fee owner of the property saying you may proceed with this application.
It's actually ownership or legal control of the property. So you could have a long-term ground lease. You could have something that demonstrates your standing. This is kind of a drafting gap, frankly, that we're in the process of correcting.
Well, so how would this work, though? I mean, if they get the certificate of appropriateness, can they just go in there and put the elevator in?
No, sir, because they'd still have to get a building permit, which would require ownership approval to go in there. The other thing they would have to get is, I believe that they would also have to get a certificate of appearance approval from the DRC, too. So they still, and they've never applied for that I understand.
Do those things have a higher threshold than just saying anybody? Or do they have any kind of conditions on them that say an owner or
I'd have to go check
authorized
now.
person?
Under the new ARB, you remember you adopted several weeks ago an ordinance amending the DRC process, and it's now going to be called the Appearance Review Board. Under the new code, I know it requires an ownership, but under the existing code, I just don't recall from the top of my head.
Is there a way we could find out? Sure. 'Cause I'm kind of curious about that, because that seems like that deals with this, and this is just sort of an odd situation, I think. It seems like, something I've never seen before, certainly, and I don't know if anybody else around here has.
Jennifer, out of curiosity, have you had a discussion with your landlord about you own or you have the least right to that alcove?
Yeah, he knows now. I mean, this is no secret, but it's been like, he says it like maybe they're not going to be in business, so he'll get an elevator, if so, but he's pretty much really hard to deal with, and I'm really hoping that we're going to eliminate him soon, and I'm working with a football player to invest in the building so that we can change it, so make it better and take over this and take over this problem.
Term.
That
You didn't really mean eliminate him. What you meant was that you hope the business would move out.
Yeah, I try to get him to get out of there.
Because I was going to make a request. We really do need to keep eyes on that upstairs tenant.
Yeah.
That has been a nightmare for you. And
It's been like the worst thing in the world
I
for me.
can tell you the chief and the downtown detail.
They have been working with that.
I just don't, it's supposed to be, what it was supposed to be was a tattoo shop. Now it's like pole dancing, it's a bar, it's pretty much anything and everything is up there. I'm trying to run a restaurant downstairs, and it's like not what I want,
And
And
it's not helping your business.
It's not helping my business, and also we need to get more retail and stuff downtown, and having places like this is not going to make that easier for them to come downtown, so.
Well, if there was a way that we could vote this down, we would, but we can't. So in any event, just be comfortable in knowing that there's no way that they can.
Do I have to attend something else though, or no? I mean, like for the permitting, if they are allowed, or do I just?
It's not going to happen, so you don't.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just don't know.
won't.
Do I shut my gate and like?
How about this, Jennifer? If you do need to, Kyle will contact you and let you know,
Yeah.
but we will take care of it, okay?
So just don't worry about it?
Don't
Is that
worry.
what I'm, because it's been an ongoing problem, that's why, so I just want to
Well, we hate that you have to take up your time
Yes.
dealing with this.
make that happen.
Because I'm going to move that we accept the hearing officer's recommendation, but that's basically procedural at this
Yeah.
point.
Right. All right, motion by Commissioner Lineham.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that motion carries, and that ends the formal business of the Orlando City Council today. Thank you for tuning in or being present in chambers today.
I have general appearances.
Okay.